I find it very interesting and pertinent that Africa, China, and India right now have the same population, basically, 1.4 billion people each. The biggest operating difference, aside from poverty and the ecological conditions and so forth, is that Africa is 55 independent countries. India and China are unified states, albeit in a kind of federal arrangement or semi-decentralized arrangement in both cases to some extent. So Africa's biggest issue, in my view, is unity. Obviously, countries don't easily don't easily cede sovereignty to a supranational entity. But Africa is so far behind, so much in need of development right now, so vulnerable internally and externally, that I think the case can be made, and I'm certainly trying to make it all the time to African leaders, that they better create an effective union right now. And this is a message that I give all the time. Having said that, if the union can really be created, one can actually foresee a rapid growth period for Africa, which would be unprecedented, basically. And the reason is poor countries have headroom for rapid growth. This is the most basic idea in economic growth, which is that if you're capital scarce, the returns to investment are very significant. If you don't have electricity, it's great to add electricity. If you don't have roads, it's great to add roads. If you don't have rail, you get a really big return to adding rail. So you can identify the investment strategy that's needed. And I've worked out in a recent study that I did with the African Development Bank a scenario for the next 40 years modeled on China's 40-year growth from 1980 to 2020, in which Africa becomes a high-income economy by 2063, which is their 100th anniversary of African unity. Now, just one added footnote to that, Africa was about 7% of the world population, if I remember correctly, in 1950. Today, it's about 18%. Africa is the only region of high fertility in the world right now. Africa will have 2.5 billion people around mid-century, maybe 2055, 2060. And on the current UN medium forecast, which I don't think is accurate, but it's their medium forecast, Africa reaches 3.8 billion people by 2100 and constitutes 38% of the world population by 2100. Now imagine if Africa grows rapidly in economic terms and has this population growth, Africa becomes actually a major part of the world economy, not a fringe part of the world economy, even by mid-century or by 2060. So this is my view of what should happen. It is a major political action that is required more than anything. It is the unity to say we're going to do this in one coherent step, because frankly 55 countries are not going to make it on their own, and 14 of them are landlocked. Landlocked countries can't even function if they don't have ports. So to put it bluntly, if Africa gets its political act together, and again, it was Europe that created this messy map, but if Europe gets its political act together, it's going to be a big part of the world in the 21st century.
Only our unity can provide us with anything like adequate protection. Those problems can best be met within a unified Africa. There are existing models which we can modify or adapt to our pattern. the United States of America, the Soviet Union, India and China.
Ce qui n'est pas sans difficulté, parce que l'unité est dure, surtout en Afrique. C'est difficile de s'unir. Mais c'est la solution. Il faut qu'on s'unisse. Pourquoi ils ne veulent pas qu'on s'unisse? Pourquoi la Confédération fait tant peur ou fait mal à certains? Ça doit nous amener à réfléchir.
As you've just heard from Jeffrey Sachs, the path forward for Africa is unity. It's the same message Kwame Nkrumah gave in 1963. And today, Nkrumah and Traoré is bringing that vision back to life. Join the Africa Must Unite Lab to support Traoré and help make African unity real. Not tomorrow, now.